யூடியூப் லிங்க் அனுப்புங்க சார், நான் குரூப்ல போஸ்ட் பண்ணிடுறேன்.
ஓகே, 1 minute.
வருது. அப்பா, இதுல உங்க மூஞ்சி வருது.
ஆமாண்டா, இது ஆர்டிஎஸ்னோட அக்கௌண்ட்ல.
அதுதான், அதுல அவங்க பேசுறது.
அதுக்கும் பேரு இதுல இது இல்லாம
அடுத்ததப்பா எங்க வந்துட்டீங்களா வீட்டுக்கு? ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ. வெல்கம்.
Shall we start, sir?
Yes. Okay, we'll start.
Yes, sir.
Prayer yaru Dr. Sai Meenakshi.
Yes, sir. IMA Meenakshi, madam.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Most welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome to this August CME. So let us start with IMA prayer. I request Dr. Sai Meenakshi, chairperson of Women's Wing of IMA Tambaram, to lead us with the IMA prayer. Dr. Sai Meenakshi, madam, please.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, one and all. IMA prayer. May everybody be happy. May everybody be healthy. May everybody be free from pain. May everybody be free from sorrow. May we be the healing cure beyond every greed and lure. Physician's prayer. Dear Lord, though great physician, I kneel before thee, since every good and perfect gift must come from thee. I pray, give skill to my hand, clear vision to my mind, kindness and sympathy to my heart. Give me singleness of purpose, strength to lift at least a part of the burden of my suffering fellow men, and a true realization of the rare privilege that is mine. Take from my heart all guile and worldliness, that with the simple faith of a child, I may rely on thee. Flag salutation. We, the members of Indian Medical Association, stand here to salute our national flag. Its honor and glory shall be our light and strength, and its force shall be our boast. We pledge our allegiance to it, and realizing our responsibilities as the accredited members of this national organization, we swear we will dedicate everything in our power to see it fly high in the Committee of Nations. Jai Hind. Long live IMA.
Thank you, madam. So it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this CME. It's a delight that we have the Women's Doctors Wing organize this webinar. to commemorate the World Breastfeeding Week. That's from 1st August to 7th August. And also the Swayam project, which you will be hearing soon from the chairperson of Women's Wing. And also Organ Donation Day, the 13th, which was commemorated yesterday, the 13th August of 2021. I take this moment to welcome Dr. R. Somashekar, a renowned pediatrician and our member, and also the Vice President of South Zone Indian Academy of Pediatrics. Welcome, Dr. Somashekar, sir. And it's my pleasure and privilege to welcome Dr. P. Jovita, medical oncologist from Sri Ramachandra Medical College, to speak about the importance of breast and cervical cancer screening, on which the entire project was designed. I'm also happy to welcome Dr. Edwin Fernando, my friend, to talk on organ donation, break the superstition, to commemorate the Organ Donation Day. This Swayam project is IMA's national project to create awareness on breast and cervical cancer, and of course organ donation to break the superstition so that the organ donation movement gains momentum. And at this juncture, I wish to say that the organ donation process is easy for members of IMA. You can go to the IMA TNSB website, imatn.com, and go to the application menu. You can find the organ donation volunteer form, so where you can fill the simple Google sheet and it will be filled, and we can be a proud organ donor and proud to be part of this movement. And after a long time, we had a direct in-person meeting during the Doctors' Day celebration, and I'm extremely happy that the celebration went on well, not only on the 1st of July. So we had Doctors' Day celebration at the headquarters, but also the direct meeting, which Dr. Saravana Kumar, our secretary, will be giving the report. And tomorrow, the 15th August, we'll be having the flag hoisting function at our IMA headquarters building. I request all members to join. Before that, we had this IMA Tambaram Spin and Fitness Group Challenge for 28 days, and this challenge is ending with a grand finale tomorrow. So I request members to join this and cheer the challenge as well as participate in this fitness activity. It starts at Outer Ring Road, Kishkinta Junction at 5:30 a.m. and you, as per your convenience, you can participate in 5 km or 10 km fitness. This is basically to sensitize our members on health and fitness activities. So this is the program which starts tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. followed by flag hoisting at our headquarters, and also the winners of the fitness challenge will be given their medals, and also will be announcing the winners. And the tree planting and Go Green movement of IMA Tambaram is gaining ground. We have already had initiated this during the Doctors' Day celebration in July, and it started with the first tree being planted near the IMA Doctors Colony by our senior members. Particularly started with the chairman of the Go Green movement, Dr. G. Raghavelu, and all our senior leaders who planted each tree. And then next, the North Zone took the initiative, and I really congratulate the North Zone Vice President Dr. Gunashekaran, Dr. Brown Das, and all our members part of the North Zone of IMA Tambaram who took the initiative and planted about 50 trees in the Podichallur area. And tomorrow, after the flag hoisting, we have this tree planting in West Tambaram, and thanks to Dr. Saptesh and also a few volunteers and NGOs, we will be planting another 50 trees in Madanapuram and Lakshmipuram area. I request members to join this and support this movement. and subsequent week we are planning in south area and also the east part of Tambaram. And this is the notice and invitation from the IMA State Board about the general body meeting, which will be a hybrid meeting. So this is telecast from Kumbakonam. I request all the members to participate in the hybrid or direct meeting at Kumbakonam and to raise our voice. And it's also our responsibility to attend the general body meeting. So keep this date and schedule in mind. We have already shared the meeting link in all the WhatsApp groups and by group mail from the IMA State Board. And same way we will be having our first annual general body meeting of IMA Tambaram. So this is important milestone in IMA Tambaram activity. After we have registered IMA Tambaram as a registered society, it is important that we conduct annual general body meeting every year, and this is open to all the life members of IMA Tambaram. So please note the date. It is on 22nd August at 2:30 p.m. The notice and agenda has already been circulated by mail and in all the WhatsApp groups. And if you have any issues or points to raise, please inform the secretary beforehand so that it can be put in the agenda and discussed. So once again, it is a responsibility of all the members to raise issues of their concern in the general body meeting, and that is the ideal place to discuss our issues. So please feel free to attend general body meeting. On behalf of the office bearers, I invite you all on August 22nd to attend the first AGM of IMA Tambaram. And during the AGM, after the AGM, you can also receive the CEA certificate, the clinics listed here. Please note and ensure that you receive the CEA certificate, which we have got from the Joint Director Office directly from the Secretariat. And Hospital Board of India has asked us to pass on this message to all the members. The Hospital Board of India is conducting a national webinar every Friday on important matters for the nursing home board members and the hospitals and clinics. Yesterday we discussed about the insurance aspect, and every Friday it's an important webinar, important discussions that's happening in this webinar mode. So please mark the date, and every Friday you can log in through Facebook or YouTube of IMA National Board. So with that, once again welcome all the members for this CME. It is indeed a triple delight that we are commemorating the World Breastfeeding Week and the Swayam project and organ donation project. So I welcome all the speakers and delegates for this function. So a lot of things are happening with reference to IMA, not only the tree plantation activities, but also many member beneficial activities through the various wings, the nursing home board, the CGP, the AMS. And next in October, our AMS wing will be organizing the entire North Zone AMS conference in October. The date and schedule, the program will be announced soon. Dr. Balaji, AMS chairman, and Dr. Hari, the secretary, is taking all efforts to bring all the branches together for this academic feast. Also request all our members to attend this AMS North Zone meeting. So thank you once again for your kind attention, and I request our secretary to give the secretary report. Kumar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Good afternoon, everybody, and I welcome the speakers as well as our members. I am submitting the report of our IMA Tambaram activities for the month of June and July 2021. The first activity was our joint protest against violence on the doctors. This protest was conducted along with the participation from the public also. Not only the hospitals participated. This Lions Club of New Colony, the famous NGO of Santanam, invited our leaders and members, and we jointly conducted this protest against the violence on the doctors. And various hospitals conducted protests in their premises. I have displayed the photographs. And the CME, next was the CME conducted by Nursing Home Board of IMA Tambaram. The topic was challenges faced by small hospitals and solutions, and support from Hospital Board of India. And Dr. Mangesh Patel, National Secretary of Hospital Board of India, was the speaker. And there was a panel discussion on how to reduce the clinic and hospital operation costs to make our hospitals financially viable. And the leaders from the various hospitals in our IMA Tambaram branch participated. And on July 21st, the launching of Go Green project in near our IMA Tambaram building was spearheaded by Dr. Captain G. Raghavelu, and we planted 10 to 15 trees. That was the first step. Followed by was the Doctors' Day celebration, and it was started with the CME program, participated by SIMS Hospital. Topic was intervention in acute interventions in neurological emergencies. The CME was followed by a debate, Tamil debate on whether the doctor should have a doctor spouse or non-doctor spouse is the best for the doctor. And Doctors' Day program was presided by our State Secretary, Dr. A.K. Ravikumar, and we distributed the prizes for the Doctors' Day. Dr. L. Shankarnarayan was honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award. And finally, on 30th of July, the FSS claim amount of the demised, our member, veteran Dr. Murugesan, was paid to his brother, Dr. Mr. Chandrasekhar. I wish to inform our members that Dr. Murugesan has already donated approximately 10 lakhs to our IMA Tambaram fixed deposit to conduct pediatric operation year on year. During his death also, he has contributed 50% of his FSS claim. He has already given a bond for that, and this out of his FSS claim, 6 lakhs has been donated back to IMA Tambaram. Thank you, sir. Over to President.
Right. Thank you, Sarvana Kumar. Thank you for the Secretary report. We'll move on to the academic part of the program. I take this opportunity to welcome our National Chairperson of IMA Women's Wing, Dr. Yashoda, to share some information about the Swayam project and also inform the audience about the activity planned under this project. Dr. Yashoda, Madam, please.
Welcome, ma'am.
Yashoda, Madam.
Yeah. Now only it's unmuted, sir.
Okay.
Just waiting for it to be unmuted. Good afternoon to one and all. My respects to President Dr. Nirmal Cedric, Secretary Dr. Sarvana Kumar, and Secretary Dr. Karthikeyan, and Women's Wing Chairperson Dr. Sai Meenakshi, Secretary Dr. Sangeeta Raja, the senior doctors over here, the speakers of the day, my good friend Dr. Shoma Shekran sir, Dr. Jovika, and another good friend Dr. Edwin Fernando, and my beloved friends. I am very delighted to be among you all, being a member of IMA Tambaram. Sir, kindly please share the banners which I had sent to you, Sir President, sir. This Swayam project was launched by our National President Dr. Jayalal and HSC Dr. Jayesh Lele on July 1st. at IMA headquarters in the presence of our leader of leaders, Dr. Ketan Desai. And Swayam means self. Awareness of breast and cervical cancer is the importance of it. As you all know, breast is a symbol of beauty, womanhood, motherhood, and sensuality. Breast cancer is most common among women worldwide. It is 1 in 8 women are diagnosed as breast cancer in their lifetime. Today, we have a session which is being guided by our president, and he has got very good speakers for this. Most of the branches and states have started. We, under the leadership of Dr. Sai Meenakshi and her team, have already started. I'm so happy. Keep doing. The target is for 1 million women. So we have to, I think 1 million is easy for Tamaram, I think so. We have a leadership with them under the guidance of Dr. Nirmal and Sarvanan and Sai Meenakshi. Let's do it unitely with the guidance of our President and Secretary. And this it will be of actually now at present, because of the situation of pandemic, I request all the nursing homes and clinics wherever women come for exam and they come for some of the also, you can ask your staff to go and teach them how to examine, how to find out the mask, and you can also conduct programs in schools once the school starts, colleges, or you can give awareness through CME, which we have already started. I have done last week to ACS College, about 150 students at medical college, and I'm going to do another this week for 500 students, so which is all by virtual. Opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. I welcome the speaker for today for this occasion, especially Dr. Somasekar sir and Jovita for this breast cancer, and as Dr. Edwin for organ donation, which is also in WDW, is another, actually that is also another project in WDW National, which we are going forward. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
We'll now move on to the academic program. I request Dr. Sai Meenakshi to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Somasekar, and start the academic session.
Good afternoon, dear friends. Dr. Somasekar doesn't need any introduction to our elite group. Our IMA people are all very familiar with him. He's a doyen in pediatrics. Very much blessed to introduce you, sir. Sir has got many achievements and accomplishments. To put it in a nutshell, to introduce him in few words, it's highly impossible. I try to put a few words. Sir is known for his academic excellence. Sir is the recipient of many awards. Sir has been the former professor of pediatrics at MMC, Madras Medical College. Of late, he retired from Kanyakumari Medical College as the head of the department and dean. He retired as dean of Kanyakumari Medical College, Government Medical College, and he is right now the professor of pediatrics at Sri Balaji Medical College. He is known for his oration in pediatrics. Sir stands before many logos. He is in the forefront of many logos. He's got a gallery of awards, too many of them. He's been awarded the best doctor by the government of Tamil Nadu in 2018. And he's a recipient of Mayan Award, which is a prestigious award from His Excellency, the governor of Tamil Nadu, in the year 2016. He's got his Lifetime Achievement Award from the Madras Velachery in 2017. And every year he's been awarded too many awards. Welcome you, sir. We are all very blessed to hear from you. And sir has arranged many conferences. He's right now the vice president of the South Zone of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, and has got many publications to his credit, both the national and the international level. He has got the Best Doctor Award from the Friends Cultural Academy, the Rajiv Gandhi Award at New Delhi for conducting maximum number of medical camps. Sir is a very familiar personality in the mass media to propagate and create awareness of the need of the hour. Right now, we are here to listen to Dr. Somshekhar sir, Professor of Pediatrics, on breastfeeding during this pandemic hours. Welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, the chair. Thank you, the chairman of the Women's Wing of IMA Tambaram. At this juncture, it's always my pleasure to be associated with my parent body, my hometown branch, that is the IMA Tambaram. Beloved and respected my friend, the president of the IMA Tambaram, Dr. Nimal, and the honorary secretary, Saravana Kumar, and the honorary treasurer, Dr. Karthikeyan, and the doyens and the stalwarts of my parent body, that is the IMA Tambaram, who are on the screen and off the screen. At this juncture, I also acknowledge my co-speaker who is being joined today on this triple dhamaka. As Nirmal said, it has been a great day. In fact, we have just commemorated the World Breastfeeding Week, and then the Swayam project by the very prestigious project by the IMA Tambaram. And of course, my friend who's been my guide too in a forum like how you address. Dr. Edwin Fernando is here, who is going to have a panel discussion on this organ donation day. So with these few words, I will go to the topic. Let me share my screen. Today's, I'm just going to talk about the most important subject for all of us, that we have been undergoing a pandemic, which is COVID-19 pandemic. So on this day of World Breastfeeding Week, which have just got over, how are we going to succeed in telling the mother to continue breastfeeding, and what are the obstacles, what are the gaps in a community, what is the way forward, and what is the protocol, is there any study, and what does if a child, a mother who's been breastfeeding can get the vaccine? If so, what is the percentage of protection the baby is going to get? And is there any celebrities who has been propagating the news about the breastfeeding and so on? This is what the way forward and the timeline of my topic. I will take 25 to 30 minutes for my talk. So this is a place where I visit an hospital where we used to initiate breastfeeding on the labor board before a mother who is shifted out of the labor board, in spite of whether it is a cesarean or a normal delivery. So this is the need of the hour. The World Breastfeeding Week, every year since 1992, the Innocent Declaration and the WHO and the WABA declared that we need to protect and support and promote breastfeeding. So we need to create an awareness. During 1993, the Breastfeeding Promotion Network of India and the WABA, who conceived and conceptualized that we need to create a theme. The first theme in 1993 was breastfeeding promotion and baby-friendly hospital initiative. And this year, the same theme focusing upon how are we going to protect breastfeeding. So protecting breastfeeding is the paramount important, and who is responsible for that? So where lies the responsibility is the topic which has been chosen as a theme for this year. So all of us know that we have been celebrating this most important event nearly for so many decades, but you see, there is need to be some action. On the other hand, we are trying to protect. And when we were born, I was born in a village where I was breastfed up to 5 years. I think my mother never knew about the benefits of breastfeeding. There is no need to protect. So at this juncture, I must pay my tribute to my mother, who has been a living God even today, who has breastfed me up to 5 years. There was no need to protect during that time. It was in her spirit that she used to give, unconditionally. So even if I am going to school and coming back and taking breast milk from my mom. So, but whereas today the breast milk needs to be advertised, which needs an advertisement. So we need to promote also, because on the other hand, what happens? There is what is known as the infant milk formula. There is a substitute. They are trying to, push this products into the working mothers, which you see what happens, jeopardize the whole concept of exclusive breastfeeding rate. So we'll go to the what is mean by exclusive breastfeeding and promotion. So this is the statistics we need to probably focus. The National Family Health Survey 5 says that this is very pathetic. Almost 90% of the Indian women who deliver in an hospital, but surprise, only 50% are able to begin the breastfeeding within an hour of birth. So what happens? The rest of the 50% of our poor mothers. So in spite of they are being delivered in a hospital. Can I go?
Yes.
Can I go, madam?
Yes. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, right.
May I request the other delegates to please mute your microphones.
I muted them, sir. You can proceed.
So delivering a baby in a hospital seems to be a risk. This is what I think we learned from. So 80-90% of the mothers who delivered in a hospital, but only 50% are able to initiate. What happens to the rest? So I was born in a village. So nevertheless, no mother need to be practiced and to be initiated about, learn to teach about what is breastfeeding initiation. So you can see more than 5,000 mammals across the country, but none of the mammals you see needs to teach about the initiation of breastfeeding. Only we human have a setback. So where are we now? So in fact, looking at the breastfeeding rates as per the data NFHS4, which is declined from 2.5%, from the 54%, it has come down to 51%. So there are various challenges which hinder the breastfeeding practices at various levels. So when we make rounds in a maternity hospital, in Institute of Obstetrics Gynecology, where there were about 25, C-section born babies and 20 normal deliveries, and taking a, writing their notes and taking a badge and things like that. By that time, the baby being shifted to the mother takes more than 1 hour. So where are we? So there is a challenge that the manpower versus the workload is a challenge again. So these are the challenges. So approximately 61.9% of the breastfed exclusively. There's another challenge. The definition of exclusive breastfeeding means that not even a sip of water until prescribed vitamins, minerals prescribed by a doctor. So this rate, again, we are not able to go meet anyway more than 75%. Only in Tamil Nadu, in Erode, there is a 77% the mothers who are able to breastfeed exclusively, not even a sip of water, no other than partial feeds, no partial feeds. Exclusive means only breastfeeding, completed 180 days. So the next challenge is about the receiving a complementary feed. So for a normal growth, the 60% brain growth, which is achieved and attained by the 1 year, and then the 80% of the potential growth, the brain growth, the synaptic potential, everything comes to a close end by 2 years. So this is what is the 1,000 days concept from the product of consumption until 2 years of age. So if there is a challenge, if there is a deficiency in terms of macro or micronutrient, these babies or children going to be either stunted or wasted. This is what is the gap we need to focus upon. So the challenge is that another challenge, the 60 to 23 months babies are going to get the minimum diversity, that is the acceptable minimum diet diversity, to the tune of only 16.1%. So this is another challenge in the growth potential. So obviously 26.9% of the children are underweight, 31.9% are stunted, 18.1% are wasted. And now we do see, on the other hand, the malnutrition is not only the malice as well as the obesity, which is becoming a globosity across the world due to online class and so on and so forth. So, friends, breastfeeding in infant and young child feeding practice in India goes back to, as I said earlier, the exclusive breastfeeding rate, or even 90% of the hospital-based delivery is happening. We're able to initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour. If all of you could take a pledge today that we could initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour, I'm sure we can save 1 million of babies. And 22% of the neonatal mortality can be prevented. And this is one of the important cost-effective interventional factor of under 5 mortality. About 14% of the under 5 mortality could be prevented if a child who is being breastfed, initiated within 1 hour, breastfed exclusively up to 6 months, and continued breastfeeding with the minimum acceptable diet diversity until 2 years of age. Both under and over nutrition coexist. This is another inequity we come across in under 5 children. So only 1 in 2 newborn babies are able to begin their breastfeeding within an hour of birth. So during 6 months, again, 2 out of 5 babies are not able to do exclusive breastfeeding. So these situations spur the intake of, you see, another challenge that the powdered formula company and liquid animal milk usage being increased, and the formula manufacturing companies are trying to focus the working mother and unorganized sectors too. Even among our own professionals, they do not know the act, what is known as Infant Milk Substitute Act, that is Kulandai Unavu Padukaappu Sattam. It was instituted in the year 1993, and the bill parliament which has passed the bill in the 2003, and nobody knew that now the IAP has come out with a resolution that if any of the members of the body of the IAP who violates this IMS Act may not be given a podium or a platform to address or neither to contest in any of the elections. I think this will, all the professional bodies, the NNF has already taken this oath, and we need to push this message as a resolution and to the FOXY as well as to the IMA across our nation too. So now we come to the situation, what is happening in a breastfeeding in a COVID-19 pandemic situations. So this is the scenario. COVID-19, a suspected mother or maybe an infected mother who gives birth to a stable baby. This is one scenario. The next scenario is that COVID-19 suspected mother or an infected mother who delivers a baby either preterm or falls sick, or the mother becoming sick soon after delivery. Either way can happen. The next thing is about the myths about the vaccinating the mothers who is on breastfeeding. It is time that I have to bust this myths too. So can women breastfeed during COVID-19? Yes. According to WHO, COVID-19 does not transmit through either breast milk or samples from amniotic fluid or cord blood or vaginal discharge. So the neonatal throat swabs, breast milk from positive mothers for SARS-CoV-2 virus has been found negative for the virus. So what happens? The WHO, UNICEF recommends breastfeeding, the initiation of breastfeeding within 1 hour, first hour, which is the golden hour, and even suspected or positive mothers. So also our Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also endorsed the same, that all babies born even to a suspected or a positive mother to be initiated breastfeeding within 1 hour. So why the early initiation of breastfeeding after birth boosts the child's immunity with the direct transfer of antibodies. That is the liquid gold because of the presence of so many factors. I think the Washington Post every day does research what is present in the human milk. So, but it does not teach the intricacy of the mothers who are facing challenges in the initiation of breastfeeding. This is what is the gap that we have to fill it up. So, coming back to the research, what research so far done during the, pandemic period. So, this is Schwartz et al. So, there were about 38 COVID-19 positive mothers of Chinese women in labor who had undergone this RT-PCR. So out of that, 30 neonates were done, all were negative. So virus tested in the amniotic fluid, placenta, breast milk of 6 mothers were proved negative for COVID-19. So early in the epidemics, there were 2 cases of SARS-CoV were reported. So first one on a 70th day of life, and the second infected was 14th day of life. One child in an ICH whom I know that the baby was tested negative, the mother was positive, but after going home, 3 weeks later, the entire family, the cluster of infection, which the baby could not have any escape, admitted to COVID pneumonia and treated well and discharged, handed over to the mother. So, conclusion is that there is no evidence of vertical transmission. Even there is a minimal vertical transmission to the tune of 3%. The quantifiable amount which is not being reported in the breast milk. So this is what is important with reference to the transmission. So another study about there were totally 8 number, out of which the 42 COVID positive, 42 were COVID positive, where 19 were positive mothers. And the 4 studies in that out of 42 positive mothers, there was no details about breastfeeding. And 4 studies, they allowed breastfeeding, but virus was not detected in the breast milk. So the FOXI, NNF, and the IAP recommended there is, as such, there is no perinatal transmission. This is what has been published in the year 26 March 2020, even during the last year. So, friends, in all socioeconomic settings, the breastfeeding improves the survival and provides lifelong health and developmental advantage to newborn and infants, so on and so forth. The Olympic players have been allowed to bring their babies. So having known this scientific evidence and data behind, so why should we separate the mother, newborns and the young ones and the tiny tots from these Olympians? So separation is sin. I think the Olympic committee knows about it very well. This is another commitment by all of us that we should pledge to take care out. You can see the happy mother even in front of the computer. This player was so happy. See the happiness in the face of this mother. And you can see this mother, Olympian player, how happy she is that the baby is with her. So I'm sure that this will improve the performance in the play as such. So breastfeeding improves the health of the mother. This is what I have shown. And transmission of the COVID-19 through breast milk from breastfeeding not has been detected. So there is no reason to avoid or stop breastfeeding. This is the bottom line. So coming to the vaccination. So does vaccination in mother protect COVID-19 infection in babies? Now the ICMR, WHO, and the Ministry of Health, even Tamil Nadu government, issued an order that breastfeeding and lactating mothers can take the COVID-19 vaccine. But in that vaccine, if mother is protected, what will happen to the baby if they are vaccinated? So the CDC recommends vaccination for all pregnant lactating women. More so, as I said earlier, there were studies done from 2020 to January 2021. 84 women were enrolled and they received 2 doses of this Pfizer vaccine. And in the study, conclusion is that there were robust secretion of SARS-CoV-2 specific IgG and Ig antibodies in the breast milk after 6 weeks after vaccination. So what happens? These antibodies have a strong neutralizing effects that suggesting a protective effect against the infection in the infants. So this is very, very important. that which has been published in the journal JAMA in the year April 2021. This is the latest in the arena of breastfeeding mothers, and the protection. So what are the precautions? Now we come to the point that this is the golden rule that we need to follow. This is what we need to practice and teach the mother. So the mother should perform the hand hygiene frequently before and after breastfeeding and touching the baby. The mother should wear a mask always and practice the respiratory hygiene, that is the cough etiquette during breastfeeding. And the frequent cleaning and disinfecting where she stays in the room is also mandatory, at least once in a day within 24 hours. So women with COVID-19 can successfully breastfeed if they should follow the 3 golden rules that all of us know, SMS. So what happens? COVID-19 suspected or positive mother should practice the following to prevent the transmission of infection. As I said earlier, they should wash their hands either with the soap and water. The Sapta Sorangal, the 7 steps to be followed as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the steps. So all of us know, we have learned the steps that at least 20 to 30 seconds they should use the running tap water with the elbow tap, of course, and or alcohol-based hand sanitizer before touching the baby. And wear a mask while feeding the baby. It is important to replace the mask as soon as they become damp. So more than 8 hours, a mask cannot be worn once it is damp. We need to dispose. Tell them that not to touch the outer portion. That is where the aerosol is likely to come and deposit. So you should dispose of the mask in a proper way that should not reuse and not touch the front of the mask that I told you earlier. Sneezing or coughing into the tissue immediately. You once suppose in a case where you need to probably sneeze, dispose it off and use alcohol-based immediately hand wash with thorough water and or soap and water or with a sanitizer. Not necessary to wash the breast before and every breastfeed, because this might traumatize the secretions and the Montgomery glands which are there, which acts as a lubricant for the breastfeeding baby. Even if you wash the baby frequently, maybe in the initial phase before you start initiation, you can just wash it with the normal saline, with a soft cotton is enough. Not necessary to wash the breast at every time before you feed the baby. So disinfectant and clean frequently touch surface, which is as I told you earlier. So remember 3 W's: wear mask and wash and wipe, disinfect the surface frequently. So COVID-19 suspect or confirmed mother should practice the following. As I said earlier, 3 golden rules. This is very mandatory. We should teach them. So skin to skin contact, whether we should practice rooming in or bedding in or mothering in. This is mothering in. As soon as the baby is born, baby has to be placed onto the mother. That is called mothering in. That is where the skin to skin contact comes. Or if a baby is small, less than 2 kg, you can place even a kangaroo mother care. So what happens when you do this skin to skin and the kangaroo mother care? The newborns, the thermoneutral environment is protected and less stress for the mother. Mother who has been bonded well, who is a happy mother, and it paves the way. It gives the road help and the pavement for the successful breastfeeding and also alleviate the anxiety of the mother who has been much under stress soon after the delivery. Once you can see the baby, take the baby, touch the baby on her cheek with a skin to skin, the baby feels the joy that little angel could, when the mother could see the little angel who has been blessed with. So this is the most important outcome. As I said, 22% of neonatal mortality can be prevented if you could initiate skin to skin contact and initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour. So there were very many benefits there scientifically. I don't want to go into every aspect of it. So I just would like to say, even in cesarean born babies, the mother can be comfortably in a semi-reclined posture, can be placed onto the mother. The baby can be placed onto the baby, mother's chest. This has been demonstrated in a WHO as well as the first video which came into from the place Maharashtra. I will show you the breast crawl. This is what is known as the breast crawl. You can see the baby is placed onto the mother's chest. The baby tries to move towards the nipple. This has been practiced in Maharashtra, and a video clipping, if time permits, I think I will show you at the end, the entire video. So where to place the baby? WHO recommends that you must place the baby irrespective of the COVID positive or suspected, skin to skin contact only. There is no need for separation of the baby. So, but only thing we need to practice rooming in at least 6 with 1 to 2 feet distance. So you can place the baby. Why you should place the baby soon after birth? You can see the baby who is very active and alert. Only during the first 1 hour of life soon after baby birth, the baby is very active. You can see the baby going in for a rooting reflex. The baby is ready and willing to take the mother's milk. Mother's willing to take the mother's milk. So the separation of the baby and the mother is unnecessary and it does more harm. This is the very valid statement published in the Lancet. This is a landmark statement published in the Lancet in 2021. So what are the measures to follow? So in case of breastfeeding, it's not possible. As I said, the scenario where the baby is too sick or mother is too sick. So what you need to do? So in case of mother who is sick, unable to breastfeed directly, a healthy caregiver can feed express breast milk to the baby with a clean cup and spoon. This is what is known as cup feeding. So mother and caregiver should wash their hands. A caregiver must be younger the age and only one person to be employed, and she should wash their hands before and after, following the cough fatigue and wearing a mask and so on and so forth. So expression of the breast milk is primarily done with the hand, then the mechanical pump. The mother could feel express and feel happy when she see her own milk coming down and gushing out. But you need to teach them. There are steps and methods how to express. You cannot just, until you know the step, the mother may not be able to do it and practice and may not be able to succeed in expression. So there are ways of means of steps you can teach them, and you can show them from the YouTube a method of manual expression of breast milk. So mother or our caregiver should wash their hands before expressing their ensure that proper cleaning is mandatory. Breast pump also can be used, but situation that the direct breastfeeding and direct manual expression is far better than the breast pump per se. So separation of mother and baby when it is required. The baby is unstable. The mother is also sick. Sometimes we cannot do. So baby has to be shifted to the ICU in case of baby who really sick and birth asphyxiated, meconium aspiration or preterm or with the hyaline membrane disease and so on and so forth, requiring a ventilation and so on. Baby need to be shifted to an ICU. Mother is unstable and caretaker can take the baby. So what feeds to be given in such situation? Baby is well, but mother is sick. The mother can be given an express breast milk. And the next thing is pasteurized donor human milk. So at this juncture, I must say that today is a human organ donation day. I think I appeal to my friend Edwin that there is another donation that we need to propagate and give this message. The white revolution, we should say that there are very many young mothers coming forward to donate their milk, donate their human milk. So this is pasteurized because free of virus and being screened. So this milk, pasteurized donor human milk, there are very many voluntary donors now coming up in our practice. And Tamil Nadu is frontier in having got almost 26 human milk banks, and there are yet another 10 human milk banking in the district headquarters, and the new medical colleges are on the pipeline. So in a situation of the mother being unable to breastfeed, express breast milk, one should explore the following option and with the due safety and hygiene. So what to be given in case of a mother who is sick, the donor of human milk from human milk bank, as I said, we need to promote at this hour. And wet nursing, some mother who has been already feeding her baby also can feed the baby. And relactation. The relactation is nothing but once the mother recovered from the COVID-19, that the mother can restart the breastfeed when she feels well enough. There is no fixed time interval to wait after even the suspected COVID-19 positive mothers can continue to breastfeed. This is in a nutshell given by Ministry of Health in various scenarios which I have said what you need to do. Mother suspected or confirmed COVID-19, what you need to do. If the mother is well enough to breastfeed, yeah, continue breastfeeding. If the mother is able to express breast milk, including with the help, yes, no, then you can feed the mothers with express breast milk. And you can go for, if the human milk is available from the donor human milk, yeah, continue. Or a wet nursing. So only, so you need to support the mother. What you need of the hour is that the love and the support from the family, and the whole system has to take care and give a positive reinforce pat from the behind, that mere just giving a information that you need to give breast milk is not going to anyway quench the thirst of the mother who has been having a tremendous stress, but you need to counsel them. Counseling, the model of counseling is the ALPAC model. You ask, listen, praise the mother, and you act appropriately and check how far she is understood. One should follow this ALPAC model in the counseling skill. So points to be followed as a nutshell by the healthcare system is that the mother with suspected or positive COVID-19 infection should practice optimal infant and young child feeding practices. So any promotion of breast milk substitutes, as I said, violation of the IMS Act, respective companies, healthcare official, public should not be allowed. Free and subsidized supply of donation of infant substitutes should never be allowed. We should not see in the vicinity of anybody who is trying to promote this, which will totally jeopardize. See this mother who is been successfully breastfeeding, pushing the bottle away from her. So we don't want. So points to be followed continues that all breastfeeding mothers should receive skilled breastfeeding counseling and support. Psychosocial support, must be able to manage common breastfeeding difficulties. And sensitization of healthcare workers support the mothers to initiate breastfeeding within 1 hour is a paramount important. Mothers should also have access to logistics. Like this is another area where we need to have a surplus supply of masks, water and soap, and disinfectants, etc., etc. And our efforts to protect, promote, and support breastfeeding should be further strengthened to boost the immunity of the infant and young child. All of us know mothers should be counseled to continue breastfeeding even if the infant becomes sick with suspected or confirmed COVID-19 illness. So why, in additional benefit during COVID, why one should again focus upon exclusive breastfeeding? Human milk is known to protect baby from infections because of the cellular and the immunological properties which I said earlier. Two things which you need to keep in mind. One is the lactoferrin, presence of lactoferrin in human milk, which blocks the interaction of the viral spike proteins wherever they have a receptor, either in the brain or in the lungs or in the organ, anywhere which is trying to block the viral spike protein by the special substance that is lactoferrin present in the human milk. And the oligosaccharides in the human milk acts as a barrier to the pathogens. It also acts as a prebiotic, protects the synthesis of the healthy microbes which are very mandatory and which is paramount important, which prevent the attachment of the virus into the mucosa wherever it is in the site of infection. So the key message for promotion of breastfeeding, the breastfeeding and skin-to-skin contact should be promoted. There are very many numerous benefits. The neonates are at low risk for COVID-19 infection. Vaccination of the mother prevents COVID-19 infection in the mothers. So this is the presence of IgA and IgG after 6 weeks of the mother who received. So to conclude, breastfeeding and COVID-19, the WHO, UNICEF, CDC, Government of India, ICMR, Neonatal Forum, and FOXI, and IAP, and IMA all recommends yearly initiation of breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months, and complementary feeding thereafter from 6 months, the age appropriate complementary feeding up to 2 years. So, but thing is, use necessary precautions. So even during the last year, the World Breastfeeding Week 2020, it has been said that the COVID positive and suspected mothers should exclusively breastfeed for 6 months. In the IMA Spandon, this is one of the best journal of IMA from the PCB branch in the Maharashtra, who fetched the best bulletin award, like our IMA Tambaram newsletter for publishing the coronavirus disease COVID-19 on breastfeeding. These are the celebrities one should remember, that the Kareena Kapoor and the Nandita Das, you know what they said in the Instagram. Kareena Kapoor says that to give your baby the best start in life that he or she deserves, start breastfeeding within first hour of life and feed the baby only breast milk, nothing else. This is Kareena Kapoor. Let's see the Nandita Das. I always knew that breastfeeding was good for the kidney, but I never knew how important colostrum, that is the first thick yellow milk, which protects him from so many diseases. So friends, make breastfeeding visible in public to sanitize everyone of the evils of minds of everybody who is trying to look at as in a different way. So here is another celebrity from the very popular serial all of us know, Sikka Singh, who is just soon after delivery, he has given a message that I exclusively breastfeed and to save the nation as my baby as well as the nation to become a better citizen of India. So to conclude, so this is a touching message I just want to tell to all of you, is that just see how caringly the mother holds the baby. And the same way, the baby, when he grows up, becomes a man, holds her aged mother so lovingly and affectionately. You see the picture turns. Life is a cycle we need to understand. So let us give the best start, breastfeed the baby within an hour, exclusive breastfeeding 6 months, continue to breastfeed 2 years and beyond to make a better citizen of India and a best human of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Dr. Somashekar. That was a wonderful presentation and very informative and a lot of soul-touching messages. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
So now I request Dr. Sai Meenakshi, and there's a slight change in the program since Dr. Edwin has an important assignment. He will be talking to us about the organ donation concept, and I'm also happy to welcome here and congratulate on behalf of all of us for receiving the Best Transplant Team Award from the Tamil Nadu government yesterday from the TransTan. So congratulations, Edwin, and officially I request Dr. Sai Meenakshi Madam to introduce Dr. Edwin Fernando and commence his talk. Over to you, Madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It has been wonderful of you clearly delivering and insisting on the importance of breastfeeding, especially in the first month, and how much it impacts on the morbidity and the mortality of the newborn, and how active of the are the children whenever they are born within the first 1 hour. And it's wonderful of you to clear all the myths of the mothers in the COVID time, especially of the COVID positive mothers, whether to feed the baby or not. It's a great dilemma they're all in. Thank you very much, sir. It's been wonderful of you. So I take the opportunity. Thank you, Team Tambaram, our president, sir, for giving me the privilege of introducing our legendary nephrologist, who is worldwide well known. Welcome, Edwin, sir. Sir is a professor and HOD of nephrology at Stanley Medical College, Alma Mater. Sir finished his post-graduation from Madras Medical College, and he's done his super specialty from Madras Medical College. Sir is the recipient of many awards, an accolade of awards. He's got a gallantry of award. He's got a fellowship from the Royal College of Glasgow as well as Edinburgh from the year 2013 and 2016. And Sir is a State Nodal Officer, Hemodialysis Program from the Government of Tamil Nadu. Sir is well known for his teaching potential and many nephrologists. He is a godfather. Sir is academic advisor for the Government Stanley Medical College and is the Ethics Committee of Stanley Medical College. Sir has got many publications, H1 publications in index journals. As well, he's written chapters in 4 books. He's a reviewer of many journals. Many people feel blessed when he reviews their presentations. Sir is bagged hat-trick from the Government of Tamil Nadu. He's got the Award of Excellence consecutively for the years 2018, 2019 and 2020. Hearty congratulations, sir. Yesterday you have received the Team Award for Stanley Medical College. Welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir. We are eagerly waiting to hear you on this excellent topic on organ donation. Over to you, sir.
To all, and thank you, IMA ma'am, for the very benevolent introduction. Thank Dr. Nirmal and the IMA Tambaram team for asking me to talk about organ donation. This is an area that many doctors themselves are not very clear as to what this is about. And hence I shall be talking to you briefly about what the Tamil Nadu government does in this area. Can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
And before I start, I must thank Jovita for permitting me to speak before her, as I have got an assignment at 4:30. So these warm greetings from the Government Stanley Medical College. Over the next 20 minutes, I will just tell you why we need to have organ donation, what is the brain death, how organs are procured. We shall talk about our experience in Stanley as well as in Tamil Nadu. So India has got a huge burden of diabetes and hypertension, and this is the main reason why somebody develops chronic kidney disease. So we have nearly about 232 people per million population who develop CKD. So this is a very huge burden. Why we should transplant somebody? So if you look at the mortality in different diseases, somebody on dialysis has got a 5-year survival rate of 15%, or 46%, and a 10-year survival of 15%. We are a little better than ovarian cancer. But however, look at kidney transplant. A 5-year survival goes up to 75%. This is the reason why we encourage people to go for renal transplant. So what happens to CKD patients in India? Only about 10% get transplant. And out of this 10%, live-related donor is 70%. 75% of the times the donors are females. 75% of the time the recipients are males. Disease donor transplant is only less than 1%. And the rest are live and unrelated donors, which has been largely stopped now because of stringent laws by the government. So as the years go by, you find that the number of patients awaiting transplant is going on increasing, while the transplanted recipients show only a mild increase, which means a gap is enlarging. And the last 2 years, because of the COVID pandemic, many of our organ transplant recipients who are to receive organs have not received. And there's been this gap is further widened. So if somebody does not have a live related donor in the family, then what is the other option? Other option is to go for what is known as disease donor organ donation. India leads the world in road traffic accident statistics, not something to be very proud of. and by fifth biggest killer by 2030. And we look at the data of National Crime Records Bureau about the number of people dying due to accidents. These are the recorded ones. I'm sure there are a lot of others that go unrecorded. So there's a huge population which from where organs can be retrieved, provided it is done the right way. We all know Dr. Ashokan from Thirukkalai. We know the noble act that he and his wife, Dr. Pushpanjali, took when his son Hitendran was involved in a road traffic accident in 2008. And he took the very bold decision and, at a very emotional moment to donate the organs of his son to other recipients like kidney, liver, heart, etc. And he didn't stop there. He made sure that he goes to colleges and speaks to college students in other social meetings to talk about organ donation and to inculcate the idea of organ donation and organ pledging. So we owe this largely in our state to Dr. Ashok. So what is brain death? Basically, somebody dies because of two ways. One is your heart stops and somebody dies. Okay, this is after an acute myocardial infarction. We have other circumstances where there is brain stem injury, a head injury, where all of the organs are working beautifully, but somebody is ventilator dependent, not going to make it even with any neurosurgical intervention or modern treatment modalities. So at this point of time, you're caught in a situation where, what am I to do with this patient? He is brain dead, all his other organs are working, he's not going to recover in any way. I'm wasting a ventilator and ICU bed on somebody for whom I'm not going to do anything. And this bed is not available to somebody whom I can save. So this is brain death. The doctor is not withdrawing treatment. So the concept is, the doctor is pulling off all the tubes and killing the patient. No, it is not that. The doctor is not withdrawing treatment and allowing somebody to die, but ceasing to do something useless to somebody who's already dead. So this is the idea of brain death. So it should be looked upon this way, and family of a deceased donor should have this idea into their minds. So the Human Organs Transplant Act was passed way back in 1994 in Parliament. However, for it to take shape, took a lot of time because we needed to provide a lot of transparency. We needed to streamline the procedure. And then healthcare in our country is public and private, so we need to coordinate all this. So who can certify brain death? Certification of brain death is done by head of an institution, RMO, the ARMO, or the physician, surgeon, intensivist, neurologist. About 4 people should certify brain death. So this is mandatory now, at least in the government hospitals, medical college hospitals. It's made mandatory that somebody's brain death should be certified if there is a brain death. Even if you don't retrieve organs, brain death certification should be done. Once the brain death certification is done, then we need to support this deceased donor we have to shift our focus from cerebral protective strategies to organ protective strategies. Make sure that all the organs are maintained in the best possible way so that it gets procured and it's made use of in other patients most appropriately. So once a brain death is certified, we have a dedicated disease donor maintenance unit at Stanley Medical College in the Department of Surgical Gastroenterology, where there is a special team taking care of this donor who's going to donate the organs. Now, this is taken away from the head injury ward so that the head injury staff and doctors working there are not burdened by the management of this patient, so that they can concentrate on people whom they can save. So that is why it's being shifted to a donor maintenance unit. So here we have to maintain the blood pressure, the heart rate, the urine output. The donor management is very critical because this only determines how effectively you're going to retrieve the organs. We need an integrative, multidisciplinary, collaborative approach between organ procuring team, and the clinical care team. So once the brain death is confirmed by a second certification done 6 hours later, then the patient is ready for retrieval of the organs. So what do we do when I have somebody with a chronic kidney disease, stage 5, I initiate them on hemodialysis, we counsel them, we discuss the donor prospects. If there is a related donor identified, we straight away do a live related transplant. This is a regular program that's going on in the country, all over the world. However, when there's no suitable donor, suppose parents may be very elderly, they may have some kidney disease or other problems, medical issues that may contraindicate donation, we make them get dialyzed at different hospitals, in our hospital, charitable hospitals, under the CM insurance health scheme, etc. We register them for a disease donor transplant, and when there's an organ available, we transplant. So we run a clinic for this. So every Friday, we look at the A group recipients. So we have to keep recipients ready so that at any time when there is a disease donor, we are able to retrieve the organs and transplant. So we make this registration online, and the patients are requested to stay within Chennai or within 100 kilometers radius so that they report to us within 2 hours of getting a call. This is a disease donor transplant preparation clinic, where in every group we have at least 5 patients who are ready to receive a kidney at any time. So we tell them that once you get a call from us, you have to come. You cannot say today is not an auspicious day. Today I'm out of town. Nothing like that. Over the next 6 months, anytime you can get a call, you should come to the hospital. So the recipient workup, they undergo a lot of tests to make sure they are fit. And whenever there is a brain death, suppose let's say that the neurosurgeon was operated on somebody with a head injury, he feels that there is a brain death. He notifies it to the in-house transplant coordinator. So then the first apnea test is done. This is done by a team of experts, EAT people, neurologists, etc. If the brain death is confirmed, then the grief counselor talks to the family about organ donation, telling them that this particular individual is brain dead, and then obtains consent from the nearest relative. If the family is willing to donate, then we proceed. If the family is not willing to donate, then we don't force them to donate. So this is not under any coercion at all. This is absolutely voluntary. A lot of times our grief counselors and transplant coordinators have been able to convince families, even for families who come to our general hospitals, they're not very well educated, I should say, but still we are able to convince them and get their consent. Then the transplant coordinator informs the Central Cadaver Transplant Program Office, which is now situated at the Omandurar Medical College, Omandurar Multi-Speciality Hospital. So first we get an SMS like this or a WhatsApp message that there is a donor at Stanley Medical College. He's 25 years, he's O positive, male gender, cause of death is an RTA, family has consented, time of first apnea is mentioned, contact person, contact number. So this goes out to all the hospitals in the state of Tamil Nadu. Every hospital has a transplant coordinator. So then the various hospital transplant coordinators respond. We have 6 hours before the second and final certification. This time is used by the various teams to get in touch with their patients and get well prepared. So we have certain rules formed by the government. If the brain death is certified in the government hospital, if in Stanley there is a brain death certified, the one kidney goes to a patient in Stanley Medical College, nephrology department. The second kidney is in order of priority. There is a combined government hospital. So the next patient may be from Rajiv Gandhi Government General Hospital. The third patient may be from Kilpauk Medical College, etc. Then there is a combined private hospital list. And then you can make these organs go outside the state also, provided there are no other effective donors, effective recipients here. So all this is online. Everything is transparent. Each patient can check what is his position. So the Central Organ Transplant Office allocates the organs. So they say the local liver goes to Stanley, the local kidneys to Stanley, the shared kidney goes to Madras Medical College, the heart goes to Apollo Hospital, the lung goes to Apollo Hospital. So there is a separate waiting list for each organ that is maintained by the transplant, TransStan. This is there. So this is a WhatsApp that comes like this. Even the ABG and everything is being shared. So it's in fact a 24/7 program. You know, your phone keeps constantly pinging, and people working in the area of transplant are doing something beyond their duties, beyond the call of duty, beyond. It's a social call that many of them have taken, especially the transplant coordinators, the surgeons, the immunologists who do the cross-match, etc. So it's a 24/7 program, and the phones constantly pinging. So the nephrology team calls the patients, and then we dialyze them. We alert the urology and anesthesia team. We do the cross-match, and the urology team gets ready with the blood, and suppose the organ is going to be retrieved at Stanley, then the teams go there to retrieve the organs. So once you get information from the convener, prospective recipients are identified, the urologist and OT are identified, and then the transplant is done after the cross-match. So this is the retrieval of organs. There's a huge incision made from the xiphoid up to the pubic symphysis. You can see all the organs here. And here the kidneys removed last. So the first organ to be removed is the heart and the lungs, and then the liver, and then the kidney. And there are some times when the small bowel is removed, and some patients may be willing for skin donation. Some families have donated both their hands. Stanley has done a bilateral hand transplant about 2 years back. And people can donate, suppose the heart is not in a very good condition, the heart valves can be taken and stored. So this is both the kidneys, removed en bloc. And then it's all packed. The one kidney has to go outside the hospital. You have to take it, pack it well, and then transport it in the most sterile manner. And this is a perfusion solution that we use for perfusing the organs. And once the organ comes to meanwhile the recipient is prepared, and the kidney reaches there. The surgeons inspect the organ, make sure it is fit for transplant, and then the surgery is done by the urology team. And you can see the kidney pink after perfusion and making a lot of urine. This is a post-transplant renal transplant room at Stanley Medical College. There's a reverse barrier nursing, and the immediate post-operative care is done by a team of very dedicated staff nurses. And then we have to take care of the deceased donor because he has donated all the organs. So this is a transplant coordinator who does the respects to the corpse, and then the government makes special arrangements to shift this corpse to their house for the family to perform their final rites. The Chief Minister's Comprehensive Health Scheme has helped all these transplant patients. Up to 5 lakhs per transplant is given. And the first deceased donor transplant in Tamil Nadu was a deceased donor certified at Stanley. And Stanley was the first to do. At the same time, the shared kidney came to MMC, where I was a PG at that time, and the first was done. But since from 96 to 2008, there wasn't much of talk on this because it was very difficult to make people accept organ donation and brain death itself. Even now, there are many people who don't understand, and as I mentioned initially, many of our own doctors don't understand this concept. So this is the number of transplants that we've done at Stanley Medical College, 869. You see the last 2 years has been dwindling because of the COVID pandemic. And this is the number of disease transplants that we have done. Again, the last 2 years, we did not do any disease transplant because during lockdown, there was no road traffic accidents. I mean, it's a good thing, of course. And the last 2 years, because of COVID all around, we weren't really prepared to take the risk of doing organ transplant. That was not the priority, of course, during this pandemic. This is the number of transplants that we have done at Stanley. And the survival is comparable to all other private hospitals and also in other centers all around the world. And these are some of the recipients who otherwise did not have life-related donors but would have died except for some good Samaritan who have donated their kidneys to these individuals. So the unique features of this program is the absolutely free of cost, pre-transplant workup, dialysis, transplant surgery, post-transplant immunosuppressives like lifelong follow. It is to be recollected that our former Chief Minister, the late Dr. M.G. Ramachandran, himself had a renal transplant at Boston. And then when he came back, he passed the first GO to say that all drugs for these post-transplant patients should be given free of cost. This is the TransTan. This is the Transplant Authority of Tamil Nadu. This is a website. You can visit this. And for the last 6 years in a row, we have been doing the maximum number of transplants, and we have been awarded by the central government for this. And yesterday, there's an app that has been inaugurated for organ transplants. An organ donation day, we do pay respects to the people who have donated their lives. And we also honor the family members who have lost their loved ones and during time of great, big grief made very magnanimous decision to donate the organs of their loved ones. And this is the Transplant Authority of Tamil Nadu. This is our state nodal office. And a lot of literature has been generated about the disease donor renal program in Tamil Nadu, how we were the leaders. We are leaders in many fields in India, and this is one such. Health is another sector that we have all done extremely well, especially the government hospitals, and this is one such area that we have done extremely well. So over the last few years, 8,461 tissues were harvested. 985 families came forward to donate the organs of their loved ones in time of great emotion and grief. And it is because of the magnanimity of these families that there are many people who are now living. So look at the number of organs that have been transplanted in Tamil Nadu. Of course, this involves both private and government hospitals. Kidneys, of course, are large because we have 2 kidneys. So 2,547, liver, lungs, cornea, heart valves, pancreas, skin. So this is something very phenomenal. The neighboring state of Telangana has also done reasonably well, and the neighboring state of Kerala has done reasonably well in this area. While the remaining parts of India, it's not picked up on a very large scale. Of course, big Delhi, Bombay, there has been a lot of activity. This is an organ donation card, and as Nirmal mentioned in his welcome talk, that it's very easy for IMA members. You have to register and then you will get a card. This card can be carried in your wallet. And in case of an eventuality, you don't put your family to stress. You can give your consent for organ donation so that the family members are not put to stress at that particular time. Well, this is the central government award that we got for, and our team gets an award for excellent performance in the area of transplant. So before I wind up, this is a pair of transplant recipients. The girl received a disease donor transplant, and the boy had a live-related transplant. Both of them used to come to hospital for dialysis together, and then managed to get married after a courtship of a few years. So we got it right because of excellent coordination between the private and government. That is very, very essential here. Very dedicated transplant coordinators, people working around the clock. And of course, the will that we have to do this and streamline this here. So this is my last slide. This is John Maxwell, who said that when I die, I cannot take with me what I have, but I can live in others by what I gave. Thiruvalur is also mentioned in many of his quarrels about this. Anbilar ellam tamakuriyar, anbudayar inbu priyar. This is I love this beautiful drone picture of Stanley. You could see the port at the distant and all the buildings and the mint overbridge that you can see. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Nirmal, for permitting me to speak today. And I'm sure there are a lot of queries you could please address it to my WhatsApp or onto my email. In the interest of time, I think we have to call it a day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you, Nirmal.
Right.
Hi, Meenakshi.
Yeah, Sai Meenakshi Madam, your turn. Thank you so much, Edwin, for accepting our invite, and it was really an informative talk. This was one gray area, particularly how to approach the government, how to approach the donor families, and how to register for this organ donation. So these were some key questions asked in the forum also yesterday. That is the reason why I projected the IMA website. And IMA has taken a keen interest in organ donation. There is a standing committee working for this organ donation movement in the India, across India. And in Tamil Nadu also, IMA Tamil Nadu has taken keen interest, and that is the reason why it is linked to the website and it's operational now. So thank you so much for sharing your experience and expertise. It was not only informative, it was also very emotional to see the families connect, and happy to see that so many lives are saved, and the quality of life is being given back to the recipients. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise. Over to you, madam.
I'm here. Please unmute.
Madam, please unmute.
Thank you very much, sir. It was excellent to highlight educators of the way we need of organ donation.
Only if you say that he will take the Stanley picture.
What, sir?
No, the Stanley drone picture is there in the screen.
Sir,
Only after your approval.
We have spirit with us. We are always like don't beat each other.
Only after your approval he will take off the screen.
That's excellent of you, sir. Be there only. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I request Sangeeta to take over. I request Sangeeta to introduce our staff speaker, Dr. Durga, to talk on awareness on breast cancer and cervical cancer. I request Durga ma'am to have a few words about other cancers too. Over to Sangeeta.
Dr. Sangeeta, you have to unmute your audio.
Ma'am, please unmute.
Here. Thank you so much. It's been a real privilege to be, co-speaker along with Shomashekhar sir and Dr. Edwin. Dr. Edwin is known to me for a long time, and he's been like a brother to me. And so I'm really privileged to be sharing the stage along with him. And this is a very important topic, obviously. I mean, as a part of this SWIME project, the most apt and the befitting lecture that we have had for the particular project is Shomashekhar sir's talk. And I was just enjoying thoroughly both of their lectures. It was fantastic. I hope I'm able to, on par with them, able to deliver as much as points and make it very lively. Going forward, I just want to share this little, the slide information with you. In the Bible, it says, Deuteronomy 28:27, the Lord will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with tumors, with a scab, and with the itch from which you cannot be healed. Now, this particular verse was recorded somewhere in 3000 BC. That was the first recorded verse on tumors. Now, in the history, when they started, excavating all the stuff from the pyramids, they found that the Ramses, who actually fought with Moses, died of a tumor. I guess it was a jaw tumor. And so this was the first recorded evidence of cancer. So in the contemporary, members who died in the Egyptian kingdom that time had a lot of other cancers like the prostate, breast, and lung, and so on. So the tumor base started from then. Now look at the scenario today. We have, like, in 2010, there was close to 1.5 million cases, and death was around 556,000 and odd. In 2020, it came to around 19.3 million new cases. It's close to 20 million. And also the death also increased to 10 million. So the estimated, the rise in 2020 is supposed to be 60%, which means that 29.4 or 30 million people will be diagnosed to have cancer. Now, about a few years ago, they used to say 1 in every 5 people are at a risk of cancer. But now it looks like, with this particular staggering statistics, it appears like 1 in every 3 persons or 1 in 2 people are going to be at a risk of cancer because of the kind of pollution and the demographic changes that has happened. Now look at this statistics, how it is. It is going to triple up after 2030. I used to think, we are like years ahead of time and all that. But now we are almost there. We have all crossed to 2020 already. So this is something very, very crucial for us to understand, that there are not just, it's just not an awakening. It's an alarming factor that we all have to register in our minds, that not just the doctors, everybody in different profession needs to get together to work together so as to stop it, because only 10% contributes to hereditary cancers. The rest of it all is lifestyle, is habits, it's the kind of environment that we are in. So when it comes to development of cancer, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes its time. And if you ask me, does everybody have developed cancer? Do they have cancer cells, or only some people have cancers? Actually, every one of us have mutations that are happening, cancer cells that are there, but by the grace of God, our body has got the inherent capacity to repair those damaged cells through phenomenon like apoptosis, and the tumor suppressor gene is at proper work. But whenever this gets disarrayed, whenever the tumor suppressor gene loses its function and the oncogene starts picking up, whenever there is accumulation of mutations, then the stepwise process of the genetically altered cells goes on to become hyperplasia, dysplasia, carcinoma in situ, and then invasive carcinoma, where it breaches the basement membrane and starts spreading all over the body, and it tries to find its niche in different organs and starts multiplying and manifesting in terms of symptoms. Now, this is a small cartoon picture which helps us to understand how an oncogene is like a accelerator in a car. It's like a gas pedal, and a tumor suppressor gene is like a brake. So when we have a proper functioning of this, accelerator and the brake, it's only then our body's got a regulated function and the tumor cells don't really manifest. But when we do not have this, and when there is a dysfunction of tumor suppressor gene and an overaction of pro-oncogenes or oncogenes, that's when there is going to be trouble, and we are not going to be able to stop the formation of cancer. Now, all this is because every year the incidence keeps increasing. It's all because of the demographic pattern change, westernization, tobacco, violation of geochemistry, which is very less talked about. Now, these are the most important danger signs. I know that the talk is going to be more centered on breast and cervix, but it is imperative that as I have come to IMA with a lot of very minded physicians across in different fields also having been a part of this meeting. I think it's nice to mention few points before I go into the mainstream of talk. Now, these 18 danger signals are sore throat, which is not unusual bleeding, anemia, thickening or lump in the breast or testicles, indigestion, difficulty in swallowing, obvious change in what or mole, color, discoloring, or suddenly bleeding, or nagging cough, hoarseness of voice, persistent lumps or swollen glands, unexpected weight loss or loss of appetite, night sweats or fever, continued changes like itching, which could be precancerous, non-healing sores which could be in the mouth, which could be anywhere actually, constant headaches, back pain, bloating, and pelvic pain, constant irritation or inflammation anywhere. When I say constant irritation and inflammation, it could be, for example, a gallbladder stone, where there is a constant irritation, and the size of the stones grow up, and the patient just, the person doesn't even, you look at it as an important thing to address. But what happens eventually, the stone's irritation on the bladder mucosa is going to cause a malignancy. So a H. pylori infection in the stomach, that is going to cause a constant inflammation, and that will form either a maltoma or a cancer stomach, adenocarcinoma, or anything like that. So anything which is constantly irritating, for example, you can also say in the mouth, the smoking, spices, spirits, sharp tooth, we say. So all those things actually constantly irritates and bites a particular area on the mucosa, so slowly it becomes carcinogenic. So these are some things which are, whether we are physicians or non-physicians, I mean, everybody needs to be aware of the thing that, these should be considered as important for screening or evaluation. Now let's come to breast cancer. We all know that this is something which is important as an alarm, that it should ring in our mind that that person requires a investigation. A person who comes with a lump or changes in a nipple or discharge. Now, what are the risk factors? We all know about this. It's early menstruation and a late menopause, which is actually going to cause an unopposed, exposure to estrogen in a person's body, and a first childbirth after 35 years, or childlessness, or a family history of breast cancer, or a person having a really, being obese with high fat and low fiber intake. So these are some things which we would definitely know prior. But there are other things which one needs to know as well. Now, these are the hereditary cancer risk evaluation. Now, who are those people who we will subject to a hereditary tests? Anybody who walks into the OP, should we ask for a hereditary test? No. Now, these are the important points which we have to keep in mind so as to order for a genetic test. Now, what are they? If the person comes with a female breast cancer less than 45 to 50 years, straight away, if the person is an Ashkenazi Jew, triple negative breast cancer, 2 or more primary cancers which are diagnosed less than 50 years in the person's family, or if the person's family has had previous patients with ovarian or fallopian tube cancer or primary peritoneal cancer, any male breast cancer, or history of pancreatic cancer, prostatic cancer within the family of the person, or any blood relative with some kind of a cancer less than 50 years. We just have to make sure that we have to elicit the history properly, and also, if possible, make a pedigree chart to find out how closely they are related, for us to know how much is going to be the risk factor. Even prostatic cancer in the family can have genetic relationship. And what do we order for? Just hold on, I think the thing is not moving. Yeah. So now, what are the tests that we are going to order? We are going to look for the BRCA1/2 mutation. Now, the appropriate candidates will be any pathological variant which is seen in the BRCA1/2. Now, generally what we do is we ask for a germline test, following which we ask for a somatic. Now, when we say a germline test, that is what is got through the blood. So the sample will be the blood. And through the blood, we will check for the mutation. If a person comes to be a BRCA1/2 mutated, then that means that the next generation will have 50% penetrance or 50% chance of getting, whether it's a girl or a boy, there will be a chance of the malignancy to occur in any form. If the germline comes negative, then we order for a somatic. What is a somatic mutation? We ask for the pathological specimen, and we do the test in that specimen to find out if there is any stray somatic mutation, which is actually not in the germline, which is acquired later on. So that needn't have to definitely be passed on to the generation. So we are only considering the germline as the most important for the hereditary penetrance. And also we have to identify the proper pathological variant. And it's very important that both the male and the female should be, relatives should be offered the genetic test whenever appropriate. And we see that, there are so many, genes that are associated. Like, for example, if you see the BRCA1 and 2, it is 10 to 20 times the relative risk is high. P53, 2 to 6 times. P10, it is 2 to 4 times. Peutz-Jeghers, it is 10 to 15 times the risk is higher for breast cancer. Ataxia telangiectasia, 3 to 4 times. CHEK2, BRIP, and the BAL-B1, then it runs around 2 to 3 times. Now, there are other, ways of categorizing these risk genes as high to moderate, which is like the T53, P10, ATM, and the low penetrance genes, which can also cause ovarian, prostate, and pancreatic cancer. And remember that even male breast cancers can happen. And it's very important that BRCA2 mutation will confer risk in males. And the best way to go about this is to have a next generation sequencing that is called as a multi-gene panel testing. And this can be done through blood, saliva, mucosal, buccal mucosa itself. Now, there are also other risk assessment modules where we can actually categorize how much will be the risk through algorithms, which is called as a CAN risk. And if they don't have a breast cancer, they use something called as a CLOS. And then they have other assessment tools for surveillance, etc. Now, when we come to the factors signifying, increased breast cancer risk in the age groups, how do we say greater than twofold of risk is seen when first to the second degree relatives is, had a previous history of cancer. If the age is less than 40 years, when the BIRAD score is high. So like this, risk factors are classified. I'm not going into the details for want of time. And we have other major risk factors to determine the risk category. As I said, the history of other malignancies and the density in the mammogram and previous breast biopsies. If for some reason they've had, some kind of a lesion and they've been perpetually going to the doctor to kind of have a biopsy, then those people are at a kind of high risk. And other histories like age and menarche and children, number of children, and how many are alive, how many abortions they had, and breastfeeding as being the most important thing. It confers protection. But the thing is, in books like in Devita that we generally read, they are not really explicit about saying that it really offers protection. Then radiotherapy for some reason, Hodgkin's or whatever, between the age of 10 to 30. Now, this is a tabular column which gives us the age and how to categorize the screening time during the mammographic screening. So in government-sponsored groups, in medical societies, and in coalitions, they have categorized as to how they have to screen, whether it is once in 2 years or 3 years, which is a group which requires most attention. Now, between 40 and 49, it is basically individualized. It basically depends upon the risk factors and the risk in the family, the risk to the patient. And it is only between 50 to 69 years that it is imperative that we definitely have a mandatory screening 2 to 3 years once. Now, more than 70 years, again, it's kind of individualized and we really don't have to push them, but if there is any risk factor, yes, we should offer them. And we also see the risk factor keeps varying based on the age. Now, 35 years, the risk at 5 years will be 0.3. Now, look at 50 years, it is 1.3. Now, at 70 years, it's 2.2. Interesting to note that after 80 years, the risk actually declines. Now, women who have none of the risk factors are usually they are considered as average risk. So, average risk people, do they have to be scared? Well, in a lifetime, the risk will be 12.4%. So, which means that we should remind those patients who are in average risk without any previous history that they will not actually die of cancer if they are diagnosed, unless they harbor some kind of very bad mutation. Now, pre-test counseling is something very important. As I said previously, we incorporate the pedigree charts, assessment tools, and genetic recommendations. We need to also consider the financial considerations and also the legal protections against genetic discrimination. And also, sometimes, they would spend money and do the test, and finally they will ask how, I'm not able to take a decision on a prophylactic mastectomy, or I don't have the funds for a PARP inhibitor for a sustenance of maintenance treatment. Those things will have to be definitely discussed prior the treatment. And also we have this breast cancer prevention. There are several important points that we have to do, decreasing the consumption of alcohol, ideal weight maintenance, regular exercising, chemopreventive drugs. There are a lot of trials like the NSABP P1, which talks about tamoxifen being very protective in the opposite breast, decreasing the rate of breast cancer by 50%. And in lobular carcinoma in situ, it decreases by 56%. And so also aromatase inhibitors have a protective role. And also we see that prophylactic surgery like Angelina Jolie, she went in for total mastectomy. And we also have prophylactic surgeries for ovarian cancer like salpingo-oophorectomy. We have prophylactic surgeries in other cancers like the total proctocolectomy in colon cancer when there is a familial adenomatosis polypi or a hereditary HNPCC, hereditary non-polyposis coli. So those cases, what they do is, if the risk is very high, then if the MSI is high, then there is a chance that complete surgery can avert the occurrence of another cancer later on in life. Now, this again is a tabular column mentioning, MRI, the importance of MRI screening in different age groups and in youngsters. Now, basically, MRI screening is offered to young women, number one. Number two, who are, pregnant. And number three, when the breast is very dense and they're not able to really pick up. So these are the areas where we use MRI screening. And this again is the synopsis of the previous, tabular column. Then we also do post-test counseling, where we give the opportunity and the review of information about the hereditary cancer syndrome. Very interesting to know that a few days ago, there was a patient who came with a stray BRCA mutation. And in fact, I had not really divulged the fact about the tumor because it was a mutation of unknown significance. And she, without understanding why I did not explain to her, she went and complained about me, saying that she has not explained about the mutation status. Now, it was very interesting to me because I did it on purpose because I didn't want to give her any wrong information. Now, this often happens to oncologists because once we see these reports, we are bound to explain to them immediately, but it's not always possible because the kind of database that we have is just growing and growing. And so some of the mutations that are developing now, we are really not able to offhand explain to them. So there was, I took a week time and then I discovered what was this insignificant and unknown significance mutation and found out that it was like a stray mutation which could either become bad or good, And so I had to explain to her. So I am sharing this basically because the demand is so much nowadays that they expect our explanation right away, and which is really not possible. And we have to constantly keep in touch with the subject and the database renewal and things like that. Now, these are pictures which I want to show you about my real life experience of patients whom I have seen in the OP. Now, why I share these pictures is because of the fact that they are old ladies who were neglected by themselves and by their relatives. For the one reason is that they are either socio-economically backward, or because they think that they shouldn't be a burden to their own family members by unnecessarily incurring expenditure. So that is the reason why they kept neglecting, and they came to a point where they were all having stage 4 cancers with totally mutilated breasts. Now, this again, all advanced cancers, and these two pictures here show male breast cancer really advanced. Now, we have to understand that when we talk about breast cancer, it does not involve women alone. Now, men is a huge equal part of the globe, men and women. Now, we're not even talking about male breast cancers when we off and on have male breast cancers. And when it comes to males, it is very aggressive, because at least in female, we have the stroma and the fatty tissue, the lobules and everything, whereas in males, directly it goes to the chest wall. So it becomes very notorious, and therefore any complaint needs to be immediately checked. Now, breast density is another important factor why young women are not diagnosed on time, because of the dense breast. And therefore, we need to be extremely careful when we take our scans in mammograms. And also, we also need to keep in mind the increased incidence of interval cancers, which often happens, especially with people who have had history in the family or history of some kind of a problem in their breast, and they've been coming for a follow-up for a biopsy or some kind of investigation. And what happens here is that we would have asked them to come this year, say, for example, in August, and then we asked them to come next year in August. Now, in the meantime, in the 12 months interval, and after 6 months, they might suddenly develop a lesion which starts growing quickly. So that is called as interval cancer. So off and on, we have to inform these patients that we need to, keep a watch on them, not just during the time when we're asking them to come, but even during intervals, they have to do the regular self-breast examination. Other important reason why breast density is increased is that a lot of people go in for hormone treatment, estrogen therapy, estrogen progesterone therapy, which could also be a reason. And we have a lot of breast screening tests like the self-examination, clinical breast examination, ultrasound, mammogram, and so on. Now, look at the most important, these are the things which I would want to share. Any change, a lump or hard knot, a thickening in the breast, swelling, warmth or redness, or darkening in the breast, change in the size or shape of or level of the breast, dimpling or puckering of the skin, itching, scaly, sore or rash on the nipple, pulling in of the nipple, that is, the nipple gets tugged inside, and other parts of the breast, nipple discharge, or new pain or in any one spot that doesn't go away. And most of the times what happens is that, the patients don't look at their axilla or their neck part or under the breast. So I have seen a couple of patients where, not just couple, more than that, under the breast in the inferior quadrant, most of the times it's missed out. So they don't want to check on the undersurface. So we have to teach them to lift the breast and palpate the undersurface as well. So now these are the different pictures of how they have to stand in front of the mirror with his hands by the side, hands above the head, hands on either side of the hip, giving a pressure so as to taut the pectoral muscles. And then they have to palpate with the 3 pads of the fingers, from the index finger, middle finger, and the ring finger. And they have to also lie down flat and palpate. So these are the different positions: standing up, hands on the side, and lying down. Now, how do we do that? The 3 pads of the fingers. There are different ways of doing it. One is in circle, the other is in wedges, and other is in lines, either medial to lateral or lateral to medial, but making sure that we don't leave out the axilla, the supraclavicular, cervical, intraclavicular, and the intramammary. So these areas, and also internal mammary. Now that area is also often neglected. And also we see that there are 3 different kinds of pressures that we have to do. One is a superficial level, the other is the intermediate level, and the next is a deep level. So this kind of a deep pressure will help us not miss out any lesion that is really close to the chest wall, because that can be very, very troublesome. That can just invade into the pectoral muscles immediately and making it stage 4, like a T4A, so which is kind of advanced. And also any physical signs need to be immediately reported. Now, when it comes to ultrasound, it's really, really easy, no radiation, no compression, very good for young women, lactating women, and also women with implants. So next best option after ultrasound in a lactating woman or a young woman will be MRI, as I already said. And it's got low specificity and sensitivity for calcifications of BCIs. Now let's come to mammography. It's a very good tool, a very good sensitivity, inexpensive, widely available, and it's been sought out from 1950. And it's kind of, there is a fear about radiation. And also there is a lot of discussion about the compression that is given to the breast on either side, and diagonally and horizontally, and it's kind of slightly uncomfortable. It's not very, very painful, but it's kind of slightly uncomfortable, but it's for a very short duration, and if someone can put up with it, it's the best investigation modality. And digital goes over screen film, because digitally the spatial detector is capable of transforming the X-ray images into electronic digital image, where the advantage is that film processing, it's got a faster image acquisition and less callbacks and less doubts that can arise from this. Now, talking about the radiation level, it's only 0.3 centigrade exposure per mammogram. And most of the times we advocate a mammogram once in 2 years or 3 years, which is actually a very negligible dose for this to cause cancer as such. And also we need to remember that any tumor which is actually less than 1 centimeter or equal to 1 centimeter. Now, equal to 1 centimeter and more is picked up by any imaging like mammogram, PET CT, CT, or any imaging. But if a tumor is going to be less than 1 centimeter, it is not picked up by any imaging modality. It is to say that in a 1 centimeter size tumor is equal to 10 to the power of 9 cells. Now, if the size of the tumor is less than 1, it means that probably it is 10 to the power of 8 or 10 to the power of 5 or whatever it is. Now, that particular size of tumor will not be seen by any imaging and will be missed out even in a PET CT. And that is why a lot of times when the patient even comes in the follow-up, we tend to, miss out if the tumor is just developing. So tumor markers and liquid biopsies can help those times to know the exact tumor burden that is there in the body. Now, these are the pictures of some mammographs with some calcifications, and calcifications can give us idea whether it is benign or malignant. Now, as I said, MRI, which is most commonly used in a younger age, and it's the problem here is interpretation. We need to have a very soundly knowledgeable radiologist to interpret this, and it's got high cost and a high false positivity also. So basically, this should be, used only in experimental setup or only in those women who are really, really young and who are, we should not offer mammogram. Now, diagnostic tests, we do FNAC, core biopsy, stereotactic microtome, hook wire, and nipple aspirate fluid. But as an oncologist, I have to make a point here that we should not do FNAC, we should do only core biopsy. Please do not offer any patient to do FNAC, because we will not get adequate material to have an immunohistochemistry subsequently, or to categorize the tumor, or to have any other test like a PD-L1 or other molecular characterization, or even a somatic test, BRCA 1 or 2. Therefore, in no malignancy we should be offering FNAC unless the material is so less, or it's really difficult to access the tumor, and we are doing this for the sake of just a proof. Otherwise, core biopsy is the most important. Now, when the biopsy result comes, we categorize them as to category 0 to 4, where 4 is the malignant cells. And these are if you all know about this, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, for the sake of time, I'm not going into all the details of the staging. I'm going directly into now the gynecological malignancies, and I'm going to discuss about first cervical cancer. And we all know that this is the 3rd most common cancer in women, and about 8.8% of all female cancers. And the death rate is pretty much, decreased to a great extent in many countries, and also especially in India, because of thanks to the screening programs and the vaccination schedules and all that. We all know what are the warning signs and the risk factors: increased sexual intercourse, multiple partners, many children, early sexual intercourse, and immunodeficiency stage, or in utero exposure to diethylstilbestol. An uncircumcised sexual partner might be at a higher risk of causing cervical cancer. Now, the presentation will be that the patient would come with bleeding between periods, that is metrorrhagia, and bleeding after intercourse, heavy bleeding, passing out blood-stained mucus, copious foul-smelling PV discharge, and constitutional symptoms as well, pyometra because of some infection, and that is draining through the pus, pelvic pain, urinary symptoms, tenesmus, bleeding, and so on, lymphatic obstruction, venous flow obstruction. Now, let's come to prevention. How do we prevent? The three most important modalities: primary prevention by healthy lifestyle, vaccination, sexual abstinence, and secondary prevention will be detecting and treating the precancerous state at the right time by screening. Now, this is the most important crucial step, and tertiary prevention is obviously the treatment that we are going to give. Now, coming to the potential benefits of HPV vaccination, it prevents, precancerous and cancerous lesions in some cases, prevents the benign lesions to becoming the malignant ones. Now, there are two types of vaccination: quadrivalent and bivalent. Quadrivalent covers the HPV 16, 18, 6, and 11. Now, 16, 18 is the most common strains that cause, cervical cancer. A bivalent vaccination covers human papillomavirus 16 and 18. Now, we have to understand that this vaccination is HPV. There are several strains in the teen series, in the 20 series, 30 series. There are several strains, and actually the vaccination that we are providing is not a comprehensive one which covers all the strains, but at least to a major part it is able to cover. So when are we supposed to vaccinate? Anyone who once a girl attains a puberty, up to 45 years, now the age is extended. And even after marriage also, the possibility of vaccination is possible. It will act. Now, types of screening, we have pap smear, we all know that, visual inspection through colposcopy, and HPV testing, where we check for the DNA through a lot of different methods, COBUS and OnClarity, and there are different FDA products that are there to help us to identify these HPV tests. So something called as a co-testing, that is, we cannot rely totally upon pap smear alone or colposcopy alone. So we'll have to do both of these tests in cases of doubts, to clarify and to ascertain the whole thing. So that is called co-testing. Reflex testing is when you have a pap smear and that comes as positive, then automatically the HPV testing should be offered. That's reflex testing. And single lifetime screening is in a low socioeconomic country where the people are all very poor, then it's really difficult to offer them screening at interval times, and it's so much of manpower, so much of money that is wasted. So they're saying that in the crucial time of 30 to 45 years, we have to do at least once a lifetime screening. Then we have the definition of who's at average risk, who's high risk and low risk. Average risk is somebody who's asymptomatic or symptomatic and immunocompetent. They are like normal people. Low risk is somebody who's less than 25 years with HPV negative, who has come with atypical squamous cell carcinoma, atypical squamous cells of undetermined significance, or low-grade squamous intraepithelial lesions. High risk is those patients who either have HIV or immunosuppression, or been exposed to diethylstilbestol and exposed to partners. Some risk factors are there. Now, how do we exactly go about checking this in cytological abnormalities? If it is if the person's age is less than 25 years with atypical squamous cells of high grade, directly we need to do colposcopy and do the biopsy. If it is going to be low grade, Then what we do is we observe them every year. If they are, HPV negative, then routine screening. While observing every year, if it becomes a high grade, then directly colposcopy and biopsy. If it doesn't become a high grade, then we just have to continue with our routine screening. Now, this is a graph which helps us to understand that in the age groups that we see, the most common age group which manifests with cervical cancer is between 30 to 60. So this is the group which is really, really risk factor. Actually speaking, 35 to 44 is the exact group where we have to screen them. And the ACS, American College, actually recommends screening at the age of 25. That is, anybody who becomes sexually active, we should be offered screening immediately. Otherwise, after the marriage between the age of 20 and 24, whenever they get married, they should start getting to screen in 1 year or 2 years, and they should get the vaccination. But they also say that if the vaccination has been provided, then we could actually raise the age of initial screening. We don't have to, we have a very close routine follow-up. Then 30 to 65, primary HPV testing every 5 years, co-testing or a pap smear alone done every 3 years. More than 65 years, a decision to discontinuing screening can be done in an average risk group. And also we see that, there are people who do not divulge the fact that they have been actually abused or raped, or they do not disclose the fact that, any sexual abstinence was done or activity was done because of some religious factors and modesty and all that. So in those cases, we need to be extra careful that we don't miss out on any, screening part. And the HPV test should be offered to them. And so two subsequent negative, when do we discontinue screening? This is when we have adequate prior screening history and 2 negative HPV tests or the core tests have appeared negative 2 times in over 10 years, and PAP tests are also negative over 10 years, then actually we could discontinue screening. Now, management decision, quickly I'll go through the management. Cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, we directly go in for excision, ablation or hysterectomy. When it comes to invasive cervical cancer, we have to remember that early stages up to stage 1A, surgery is offered. But when it comes to stage 1B1, B2 or 1B3, 1B1 and B2, in selected cases alone, surgery should be done. When it crosses 1B2, we should offer them concurrent chemoradiation. Cervical adenocarcinoma in situ is another common finding that we see. Vaginal intraepithelial neoplasia, vulvar and anal intraepithelial neoplasia. Most of these are tackled in an early stage with surgery and in the late stages with concurrent chemoradiation. And if possible, they do advocate surgery if amenable to surgery. Now let's go to uterine cancer, which is the 6th most common, and 90% of the uterine cancers occur more than 50 years. And this is also a very important cancer now on the rise. The reason being that there is increased exposure to hormonal agents, increased obesity, and there's a lot of androgen, other diabetes and other risk factors for the ladies, and obesity causing insulin resistance, ovarian endogenous androgen excess, anovulation, chronic unopposed estrogen, and so on. And also we see that diabetes and hypothyroidism itself can be a risk factor. OCPs can confer protection, and pregnancy is a natural protection. Any person who has got a hereditary non-polyposis coli or a Lynch syndrome has got a higher chance of endometrial cancer. Now, symptoms we all know: discharge, bleeding, and enlargement of the uterus. It can be associated with pain if it is extra uterine spread. And how do we treat them? Prevention, we have to make sure that dietary modifications, obesity should be addressed. Another important thing is hormonal exposure should be minimized. And IUCD and tubal ligation can have a protective effect. We also see that for the investigation for endometrial cancer, endometrial biopsy, we use generally the DNC to do it. But nowadays, as an office procedure, the PIPL device has really eased a lot of doctors as well as the patients. There's minimal or no cervical dilatation, no anesthesia. So this in the office setting itself, we are able to get this specimen, and it's got a very good sensitivity and specificity. And but what happens is sometimes we are not able to do this also. That is the time when we have to go for a DNC. Now, in endometrial cancer, we also see a lot of benign etiologies, like because of the proliferative endometrium, the secretory endometrium, and the dysynchronous endometrium. So, when we are not able to properly assess, endometrial assessment is not really proper, then endometrial biopsy should be advocated. There are other investigations which can be used side by, like the DNC and the hysteroscopy. Now, the absolute indications for DNC is when the patient is not able to tolerate the office procedure, the PIPL biopsy, and we are able to see a suspicious mass or a polyp, and insufficient material has already been obtained, and we really want to be making sure what is happening when there is a cervical stenosis, and when a concomitant operative procedure such as laparoscopy is deemed necessary, then we have to do a DNC. Then this diagnostic hysteroscopy is another modality. Now, this modality has a risk of dissemination of cancer and also intraperitoneal spillage of endometrial cells. So that is why diagnostic hysteroscopy, you need to be careful in incorporating this to get the endometrial sample. And we have other diagnostic methods like the transvaginal ultrasound. For the sake of completion, I just would like to quickly say that in postmenopausal women, normally the thickness of endometrium will be only 4 to 5 millimeter. But if it becomes more than 11 millimeter, then definitely we'll have to investigate. More than 6 itself, we'll have to get slightly, on the investigating alarm. But there are some times when there is no uterine bleeding, even with 11 millimeter. Once you cross 11 meter, definitely the biopsy should be offered. Sometimes with 3 millimeter itself, patients can have endometrial fluid or some kind of symptom. Even in that case, the patient should be offered the test in postmenopausal group. In premenopausal patients, we know that during the bleeding phase, that is, during the time the patient has a periods, endometrium is supposed to be thinnest. During the proliferative time, it goes to 4 to 8 millimeter. The secretory period, it goes to 8 to 15 millimeters. So there is no standard threshold for us to say this is abnormal in a premenopausal group. So we have, based upon the symptoms that we have and the other investigation modality and the finding of a polyp, we should offer them the test. We also know that a lot of patients take tamoxifen for breast cancer. Post the treatment, if they are ERP or positive, they take tamoxifen. Now, tamoxifen will also cause in thickness of endometrium because there is a reactivation of the foci of adenomyosis. Now, when that happens, here also there is no set standard to say this is the thickness above which we have to do the testing. But in general, when there is abnormal bleeding, better to do the investigation with a biopsy. Then we have the saline infusion sonography. Here also we see that you have to carefully evaluate the uterine cavity to detect any small lesions which could be actually missed out through a transvaginal ultrasound or a blind endometrial biopsy. But there's a disadvantage to this saline infusion sonography because there's no tissue that is actually obtained and can be very uncomfortable also. So basically, we actually have to sometimes rely on 2-3 tests to come to a proper conclusion and make sure that the tumor doesn't disseminate. Now we have the ovarian cancer, which is one of the most lethal, sinistric gynecological malignancies, and now it is on the rise. And poor response to treatment and high recurrence rate is also seen. And epithelial cancer is kind of infrequent below 40 years, but after 40 years, epithelial cancers are higher. And peak rate is between 70 to 74 years. This is very theoretical. In practice, we see a lot of patients who are younger. Even in 30s, 40s, 50s, we are seeing several patients coming with ovarian cancer. So now that the rate has increased, the concern about the treatment and so many molecular diagnostic tests and the usage of higher molecular inhibitors have come into vogue, like the PARP inhibitors, immunotherapy, and so on. So the risk factor majorly, it measures on the nulliparous women or women who have given birth to lesser children at a later age. And breastfeeding is definitely protective. Tubal ligation is protective. Salpingo-oophorectomy is protective. Now, another important point of that needs to be addressed is ovulation induction drugs. Now, this is indiscriminately used by a lot of physicians in order that fertility is addressed. Yes, the anxiety in young women is understood, but the indiscriminate use need to be definitely stopped, because more than 12 ovulatory cycles, ovulation induction is not supposed to be done. In fact, after 6 itself, we are supposed to stop, especially in cases of very high risk. And the drugs that we use also need to be carefully used. Now, OCPs reduces the risk, and history of breast cancer, ovarian cancer is also in a higher risk. And genetic, as I said, increased risk with BRCA1 and 2. And when the relatives, when there is a first degree or a second degree relative that is often present, especially less than 45 years, we have to definitely offer them the genetic test. And prevention, as I said, OCP and tubal ligation, and prophylactic oophorectomy often can be helpful, but there is no rule that after giving a prophylactic salpingo-oophorectomy or oophorectomy that the patient should not develop a ovarian cancer. They still can develop peritoneal carcinomatosa or something to do with a malignancy, which probably is an indicator or a harbinger that the previously present ovarian cancer, ovarian ovaries that were there had a cancer. So all these kind of different kinds of presentations do come to us. Screening, there is no effective method of screening, but the biomarker which is used, that is CA-125, can be off and on used as a marker to test. Now, these are the different tumor markers that we use in different sites. And overall, not only preventing alcohol and tobacco, a proper lifestyle, keeping up the regular health checkup, eating on time, proper vaccinations, and circumcisions can prevent, prevent cervix cancer in women and penile cancers in men. So this is very important because 10 years ago, I think 10, 15 years ago, when I was a resident in Kanchipuram, I happened to meet a patient who had penile cancer and his wife with cancer, and the culprit was the man who went in for sexual promiscuity. So I would like to quickly add to this one important factor. Being doctors and physicians, we also happen to neglect our own self. We don't give ourselves food on time, drinking water on time, or taking proper dietary fibers. We ourselves neglect us. It applies to me as well as I'm talking. So this is very important. And often we all think, hot coffees and teas, we tend to quickly grab one and drink. So always remember that even hot coffees and teas over a period of time can cause stylosis of the esophagus and lead to esophageal cancer without the presence of other factors like tobacco or alcohol or things like that. So small things that we do, going to a barbecue nation, having a spicy food after starving for one full day, it will aggravate the stomach and increase the stomach cancer rate. Eating spicy foods, it can be very dangerous. It can be dangerous to the stomach, esophagus, and the colon. So small things need to be fixed. Timely food needs to be fixed. So as doctors, we may actually change our own lifestyle and also help others to change their lifestyle. And also one more point of importance that I would want to insist is that environmental and occupational hazards are very, very important. And as doctors and as researchers and scientists, we, in collaboration with the other departments and other researchers, we'll have to combat this area, because we don't drink water checking what is the arsenic, chromium content, cobalt content in that. We don't check our rice for the cobalt content and the chromium content in that. We don't know which soil our food is cultivated. We don't know which water from where we are drinking. So everything contributes to, the carcinogenic potential, and even the air that we breathe. There's so many industries, so much of fumes coming up from different industries. And if even one factory doesn't adhere to the pollution control board, then that air will be spread to all places. So everywhere, regulations needs to be followed. So it's a huge research area where only the doctors cannot be responsible. Everybody needs to be responsible. I really thank IMA for this wonderful opportunity and for sharing the stage with such wonderful doctors like Somashekhar sir and Dr. Edwin. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jovika ma'am. Sangeeta. Thank you, Jovika ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Sorry I took a long time.
No, ma'am. Thank you. Many people are in a hurry. It's a practice time, no, ma'am. It was wonderful of you of giving an elaborate, exhaustive idea about the awareness on cancers. You have very clearly mentioned that amongst doctors ourselves, we are not taking care much about our health, eating, drinking hot coffee, and irregular, untimely food, all that. But our people are more health conscious nowadays, especially under the presidency of Nirmal sir. We have started a spin and fit group where all are exercising. Everybody is finding some time for themselves too. They have me time now. Please join us, ma'am. Tomorrow we are having a marathon walkathon tomorrow on the occasion of the Independence Day. Thank you. Excellent of you. Thank you. Over to you, sir. Sir. Karthikeyan, sir. Sir, you have to unmute yourself. Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir?
Karthi, please unmute yourself.
Yes. So good evening, sir. Unmute. You are not allowed to unmute on this, sir.
Okay, no, all of you are co-hosts.
It was a highly informative session commemorating webinar on World Breastfeeding Week, Swayam Project and Organ Donation Day, organized by IMA Tambaram and Women Doctors Wing of IMA Tambaram. Sincere thanks to all our speakers, Professor Dr. R. Somashekhar, Dr. P. Jovita M. Martin Daniel, and Dr. Edwin Fernando. All the three topics were very important, and our speakers did a wonderful job with their deep knowledge and expertise. Thanks to all the participants for their attention and valuable time. And let us all meet again at Independence Day Walkathon Marathon by tomorrow morning and National Flag Hoisting at IMA Head Office tomorrow. Thanks to one and all. Thanks again. Right, sir? Nirmal, sir?
Yes, Karthi. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you, Sai Meenakshi madam.
Thank
And
you, sir.
thank you, Dr. Sangeeta Raja, for coordinating this wonderfully.
Unmute pannu, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for coordinating this event wonderfully. Went on well. It was a wonderful 3 talks, very different topics also. So hope it would have been useful to all the delegates who attended. So see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow is quite a busy day, starting with fitness challenge and then flag hoisting, then tree plantation, and have another IMA MSN camp also. So wishing you all a happy Independence Day. Let's cherish the freedom our forefathers are given. See you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam.